Welcome to the Love Clarity Podcast, where you come to heal your relationship trauma and learn to love deeply without losing yourself. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Love Clarity Podcast. Today, I am so excited because I have Heidi Lyne in my room, and I'm so excited to introduce you to her. I want you to soak in her wisdom. She has so much to tell us. Heidi, would you please introduce yourself in your words? Tell us everything about you that we need to know before we begin this conversation.
Okay. As someone who survived deep trauma and developmental trauma as a child and grew up creating the same patterns over and over and over again, finally healing myself completely of all the patterns, the programs, the triggers, the lack of boundaries. Now I work with women who are high-powered women, successful women who are out there surviving, but they're struggling. They look strong on the outside, but on the inside, they're silently dying. They don't know why they're creating the life that they don't want. They're getting the wrong relationships. And they always are over-masculated and just feel like they don't know what to do. I help them clear those patterns. I help them subconsciously rewire themselves. It's literally like wiping a computer and putting a new installation on, a new program on. And I help them somatically release all of the trauma in their body and their physical energy. And then we create a new life and integrate everything.
You know, Heidi, I help all genders, but I really love it when somebody shows up and they're like, listen, I help women do this because if I'm this person, I know exactly where to go. And women are such powerhouses. And there's been so much that's been done to bring women down, and for good reason, because of how powerful we are. And I'm so happy that you're out there being a voice for us and, allowing us to step into that power that all of us know that we have. So let me ask you this question. Let me begin with asking you, Heidi, that what's the truth about success that most high-achieving women only learn at the edge of burnout?
That everything that they do, everything that's in their life, they've created themselves. Everything. They need radical responsibility and radical acceptance of the fact that they created this life. And when you have that, that is a superpower, a hidden superpower.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Heidi, the work that you do with other people, I know from knowing you that your work has come through your own work. Yes. So what's one belief that you would say that you had to unlearn in order to become who you are now? And what did that cost you?
Wow. That love had to be earned. And I learned this lesson over and over and over again. Because when you have what's developmental trauma, it can come in from the womb till the age 10. It is part of your consciousness. It's who you are. You don't know anything else. So these patterns are put in then. So this was a pattern that I ran. And even though I did some healing work and I would change things, this was a very, very deeply rooted pattern. But when I was able to love myself and know that I don't need to earn love, I am love. I'm the one I've always been looking for. It's the entire escape or scope of my reality changed. The people that come into my life, the men that come into my life, the situations, the opportunities, because I'm not looking for something outside myself. I'm creating it from me.
That's beautiful. That's so well said. And what a relief and what a freedom from that really big bear claw that we had where we have to earn love. Thank you for sharing that, Heidi. Thank you for bringing that forward.
Absolutely.
You work with elite performers. What's the pattern you see in people who are successful on paper, but they're suffering internally?
The pattern is the fact that they have to survive. They are over-masculated. They were never held. They were never chosen. They were always, having to claw their way up. So these women became over-masculated. And our power as women is actually as being a creator. We have an amazing power, but we are receivers, and we are able to just be. I mean, we have a little creation portal in our body. So when you're out there fighting and trying to over-masculated, and you're trying to do and control, it might work because it's worked for me. I've had some successful businesses and such, but eventually everything comes crashing down, because at heart you are truly feminine. That is the nature of your being, and the whole time you're working against your being. So that would, I'd say, the most powerful lesson that the women can learn, which is what I do at the end of the program, that I do once they've gotten their new identity and such, is really install them with their feminine power, with all the things that they thought of weakness that are actually their greatest power.
That's beautiful. And so tell me about, I'm so curious about this overly masculated person. What do they look like? I want to know if I'm one. That's why I want you to tell me. So I'm just trying to be like, okay, let's see. And then can men be over-masculated? How do you get to be that feminine woman? And what will it look like if I'm a feminine woman, as you speak of?
Okay. So being over-masculated is basically coming from the masculine energy. Never being held, never being, being a woman born into a situation where you were always having to survive. And so it was just like your masculine, because we all have divine, masculine and feminine energies, and your masculine just took in and went into overdrive. And there's things like, always having to do, just doing and being busy all the time, even though you're not getting anywhere, always trying to obtain things. You're never happy with what you have because you always need more. And you always have this feeling of lack. You feel like you have to protect and provide for yourself, which is not your actual job. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's so hard to explain it because it's a feeling. But it's like a baby that's been put into an incubator in the 70s, like I was, just crying and not having anybody there to hold them. And so they just pull in this energy of, I'm going to have to do everything myself. I have to control everybody around me. I have to do everything for everybody around me. And there is a little bit of the mothering energy that comes in with that. The feminine comes in, but then the masculine energy takes over and, supporting my husband, getting in relationships and trying to take control of the relationship, that rather than sitting back and allowing the man to step forward. Yeah. Those are all the ways that happens. So, and you were asking, the next question was how?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, for example, there are two things that came to mind. Number one, as women, we do have to earn. So how do you be a woman who is that creator, who is creating work? She wants to work. She wants to be independent, How do you do doing from the feminine energy?
Right. So before, it was always searching for everything outside myself and trying to find how do I do this? How do I do that? Trying to do the physical, like when you think of men in construction, do. That's a physical act. Instead of tapping in and thinking, what is my highest excitement? What lights me up? Really sitting with myself and deciding, like, what do I want to do? And then, I obviously work doing spiritual work. So channeling in your highest guidance or your intuition for someone who's not in that place, sitting in a quiet space and just meditating and go, what would really make me happy? What is my highest excitement? What makes me feel good? Those ideas will start coming through. And when you start to say, okay, I'm going to create from this space. I'm going to, I want to do what I do healing work. I just waited for the opportunities to come to me, to see the signs, to really be in a state of being and listening and looking for signs. Because as women, as feminine women, as the divine feminine, we are receivers. So if you ask, you will receive. It might take a little while. But to just go, I have to do everything. So I'm going to go and take this class and do this thing. And, I've even been a little bit guilty of it recently with a couple of things with trying to learn the social media. And I had to sit back and go, this is not it. Spirit said, you're meant to give your message and teach your message, not be all over social media.
Yeah.
not
So, and
getting.
I think Heidi, you were saying a bit of what is the through line for the work that I do and the work we talk about at the Love Clarity Inner Circle, in the TH School, and even in this podcast. Whereas what you're saying is that you're going to be in masculine energy versus feminine energy based on where you are connected to. Are you connected to the part of you that is just in doing, or are you connected to the higher place within you that is willing to receive? And I also hear you that when you say that, I stopped doing that and I said, this is not it. And I sat back and I received. I believe that my understanding is that you're saying that that type of sitting back and receiving is not like a giving up type of, oh, I'll see what happens type of a thing. It's a very active process of receiving where you're literally meeting source at that place where you are willing to step in, that you are. It is a very active process. It's not just like, oh, I'll just sit around and see what will happen. It'll just happen for me type of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're not just sitting on the couch eating bonbons, watching TV, waiting for something to happen. That's not, no, that's not going to happen. It's more, so spirit is always speaking to us, always. And that usually it's through energy, symbols, signs, sounds, things like that. I mean, some people actually hear things and hear them in American English, but a lot of it is just, learning the process of how you're being spoken to, and the visions in your dreams, things like that. So if you sit in a space and just say, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do in life? Where can I go with this? And start and say, show me some signs. You'll all of a sudden start seeing. It's like when someone buys a red car and they never see red cars, and then all of a sudden everywhere they're seeing, like, God, there's so many red cars, because you've opened yourself up to that.
The red cars, yes.
The red cars. Now you're seeing it. So when you say that, all of a sudden Spirit's going to go, no worries. Okay, we'll give you signs. I always ask for 3 distinct signs, and they're fun sometimes. I mean, I've had some recently that just brought me to some new things recently. I do it every day. It's a process. And then when it's brought to you, then you say, well, what do I do with this? Or how do I do that? And you'll start it. And the more you can feel it, like you'll feel it in your body. Like when I was doing some things, really trying hard to get my word out there on social media, and I was doing it the wrong way, I was like this constant resistance. Now that I'm doing some of the things that I'm doing now, it's like, it's just fun and it's easy. That is, the way. You're still doing work. It just feels in alignment.
Yeah, I always call it like the grace plan. Like I was mostly on the push and pull plan before, but now I'm the grace plan. And I love how you describe it. And I think what you're inviting people to is, it's almost like playing this manifestation game where every day you ask for things, and then you're like, oh, look, I had a client once who played the manifestation game by saying that I'm looking for a pink car carrier, the ones that have like 2 stories. It's like an odd one. I said, really? Do they even exist? Like, she said, I'd never seen one. So she said, I saw 3 within a week. And I said, that is insane. I've never in my life seen one. And so when you, it's almost like a game, and you open the channels for the flow. And that's, I think, what you're inviting people to. And that's what the feminine energy creates. And I think people like you and some of my other friends were speaking to women in leadership and compassionate leadership. What you guys are inviting people to, Heidi, what I see is this new way of creation, no longer following the male model, creating, not because it's not the best not model. I mean, it's really not doing very well for most people, and just empowering women with what you speak about. I have a question for you. I wanted to know that you've said regulation is a strategy. Can you walk us through a moment when dysregulation sabotaged your expansion and how you repaired it?
I was married. Mm-hmm. And my husband was, he started getting sick. He had depression. I didn't know this before we married, that he had this going on throughout his life. And I all of a sudden I stepped in. I started being the masculine to take care, because he was a protector provider when I first met him. And I remember it was every day I woke up, I was, just feeling in absolute, sadness and not feeling okay with this relationship, but I kept doing it. I kept becoming the man in the relationship. I kept doing the things. I built the business. I took care of everything. I became this caretaker for this man, and then I would, be so mad at him and resent him.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember just screaming and crying on the floor of my house. I was like, "Why are you doing this to me?" And now, and then finally, I went to a theta healer, which is one of the modalities that I work with people with subconscious rewiring change, theta healing. And I went to her for marriage counseling, and I went one visit. And then after that one visit, I looked at her and I said, "I'm not taking him here. I'm going to do me." And I said, 6 months. And I did not take him with me. I went there for 6 months, completely removed these beliefs, installed new ones. And
Amazing.
then what happened? I said, "I'm getting a divorce. I don't
I
deserve
just love it. I'm definitely going to need to know more about that. But what comes up for me as you share this story is that, it touches on your first answer where you said that one of the beliefs I had to let go of is that love doesn't need to be earned. And I have to tell you, Heidi, this is a stupid belief that was that I had in me as well. And so it has infected so many generations before me. And, I always say to people, look, we're the new culture. We're not going to pass this on. We're not going to live with it. Because that's how you pass it on. You don't have to teach it. You just have to do it. And then other people accidentally learn it. So I love that your voice in here saying that. And I'm just imagining you in this position that you describe. And it's such a common position. And because I work with couples, I know so many that'll get into a relationship with a person and the initial high of the relationship doesn't allow them to see some of the issues like depression. That person may even confess to them that, hey, I get depressed. I've been depressed, but since you've come into my life, everything's changed, and you see it changed. You see you're experiencing a different energy, and and since you've given them your heart, it's almost like you sold yourself out. And I want you to know, Heidi, there's so many people that I work with who are in that situation, and your voice is so important for them to hear. And I would really love it if, when they're listening to this, that you can share some of the beliefs that you kind of challenged, and you literally are describing this process of unlearning and relearning, like you were calling it installing.
Installing. Well, there's boundaries. So if I was growing up in a very over-masculated, Italian home, and my dad was a sociopath and a narcissist, and so you weren't allowed to have boundaries. When I tried to set a boundary by closing my bedroom door, he took my bedroom door off.
Wow.
So then this is ingrained in you from the time you're a child. I can own you. I can control you.
That's so violating, Heidi. I'm so sorry.
And thank you. And because I am fully healed, I can be able to talk about these without having any, emotion. But that's one of the biggest lessons I think that most women have a problem with is boundaries. And it can be things like that are very severe, like mine. Like if I set a boundary, I'm going to be beaten. If I set a boundary, I'm going to have something happen to me, whatever it may be, abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, or whatever it is. Or it could be, if I set a boundary, they won't like me. I won't be loved.
It was a purchase. It was a transaction. It was very clearly given to us.
Absolutely. And when you learn that when you are true to yourself and you set that boundary and you stick with it, well, usually I find that you might get a little pushback. Some people, you're going to get a lot of pushback. When they know that you are strong in your being, they go, whoa. And then you get respected. I watched that actually happen in my life with my own father, who was this horrible person. I can remember he was doing something. He was yelling at me, you will not talk to me this way. I'm going to hang up now. He kept calling back 3-4 times. Probably, I think it was like the 5th time. I said, "Are you ready to speak to me in a kind, normal voice?" He said, "Yes, I am." And I about fell on the floor. So it's setting the boundaries.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people overcorrect, slam
What do you mean by that? What is this overcorrection thing that you're talking about?
overcorrecting is you've continued to allow people step all over your boundaries for so long that when they do step on them, you've got all this anger and resentment held up, and it's screaming, pushing, whatever, just doing something that's way over the actual situation. Maybe
Then you start to look like the crazy person in the room. So you're saying you start to teach, you start to be the policeman, and you feel like you're going to make it happen with them. So when the person is seeing you try so hard and overcorrect, you kind of lose your power in that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. When you're overcorrecting, you do lose your power. So it's more about just setting boundaries and being able to walk away. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. No is a one-word sentence. Mm-hmm. I do not need to explain myself. Blah, 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 blah. You know what? I'm going to walk away right now because I'm not going to deal with this.
I think you have a recent post about that, Heidi.
Huh?
I think you have a recent post about that.
Yeah, I do. I do.
I think it was just like a no is a one word answer. It does not need explaining or something like that.
Yes. And it's true. But the need to feel like you have to explain yourself, to say your no and then cower, that's in you. It might have been something that was created by trauma or abuse in your childhood, your developmental years, but that's still within you, and you have every right, and it's your birthright to change it. All you have to do is go in and do the work, which is what I do, and I know you do similar work. Change it, rewire it, and then you have to stay strong. When I talked about, integrating your new identity, that's one of the things. You have to integrate certain patterns and behaviors and continue to do them over and over again. And then they become a subconscious, pattern, and they happen without you even doing it. Someone screams or does something crazy and you look at them like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And you walk away. There's no reaction. There's no yelling. There's no hurt. There's just, that person's crazy.
Yeah. And I really like that you took the time to describe that, Heidi, because many times boundaries have been practiced as barriers to hearts. They've been practiced as, I'm going to stand there and yell at you and this and that. And you really describing that takes your power away, that you don't need to teach them. Your boundary is about you. It doesn't need to. I also have this thing about boundaries where I say that what people do is what they want to do. So when you are keeping a boundary, you didn't need a boundary before. You actually needed it because it's being broken. That's why you needed it. So when you know that this person actually requires, in order for me to maintain this relationship, I require this boundary, you got to know right away that it's going to be broken about 4, 5, 6 times before they learn it. I mean, think about almost like, when we have rules, the human nature is that the yellow light is supposed to say slow down, but all of us are going to speed up. And maybe I'm going to break that light a few times and get a few tickets and get into enough trouble and pay enough fines to say, you know what? I think I'm not going to break the ticket. There's no need for argument. The cop doesn't need to go pull out his sheet and explain things to you and do a whole show for you. He's like, listen, this is your ticket and bye. And sometimes they don't even send you that. Sometimes they'll send it to you in the will. But unless you've got to, sometimes people are keeping their boundaries so late when they're just at the brink of just breaking into like a ball of fire that they're expressing it then. So it's almost too late. So you got to it's almost like when you have a boundary, it's not that you generated a list and you just gave it to somebody like a receipt to do. You have to sit by while they train themselves in it, and they have to know. And even when you said that thing where you said that, I said this to my dad. Now, if I haven't done my inner work and I listen to this episode and I say, this girl, Heidi, she did this to her dad, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell you that after years of working with people, I know that it's not the words, because I did that a lot. Like I would write the words that I would say to other people, but it doesn't matter unless you've done that inner work, the work that you were mentioning before, where you have that connection, that rooting with yourself. You say your words are insignificant as compared to where you were connected when you said it, to the point where when your dad submitted, this guy who took the doors off, damn it, he submitted, even you were impressed by your own power.
Yes. And that's what I was going to say was it's, one of the biggest things is about when you're healing and you're resetting your new identity, you're resetting the energy. Everything is energy and your state of being. So that's one thing that's so important is as you're healing is you have to every day set your state of being, set your intentions of who you are and what you are. And when people come into your space, this is foreign. I'm not okay with this. Before you're healed, before you've done work on yourself, you just allow anything in and everything in because you didn't know about how to set energetic boundaries. So yeah, like you're saying, when I set boundaries with people, I can just literally look at somebody.
Yeah.
I don't even have people that really come in my life anymore that do that to me because I have such a strong energetic boundary around me of like, this shit's not going to work with me. And, they're like, don't even do it.
Yeah.
And if it does happen, I give them back love. This isn't working for me, bless you. But I don't.
Yeah, and the reason you can do that is because it's so close to you. It's right there. You can grab it, even if somebody's being rude. Your loving is right there because you've practiced. There's two things that you spoke about right now. Number one, you pointed out that when you are connected to when you are in this state that you start to create, it's almost like what you're describing is like a new default. Mm-hmm. So you start to be in this state of peace. And when somebody breaks that state of peace, you're like, wait. This is not me. I don't like it. So it's not like you even have to remember, and because it's coming from this deep work that you've done on yourself. And the second thing that you describe is this idea of that, it's almost like you have to create almost like your own inner boundaries where you don't even allow yourself to speak to yourself in a rude way. So nobody else can speak to you in that way too. And you can pick up on it and you're like, it's not even a thing. The third thing that I heard that I didn't even realize there was a third thing, Heidi, is that I have been that person in the victim position where I remember once saying that, is it written on my face? Why do I get all the schmucks? Why do I keep getting my curriculum is betrayal? So why do I keep getting these people? And what you describe here is that when you stand fully in the power of your being, like you have been practicing, Heidi, that you don't get people like that. I don't either now.
Yeah. Yeah, your energetic signature tells people everything. So I read energy. That's one of the first things I do when I work with a client. I can see somebody from everywhere I'm at, and I can tell you, are they shy? Are they outgoing? Are they, I see their energies. I can feel exactly who and what they are just by looking at them because everybody has an energetic signature. And so it's about changing that energetic signature from being this victim and, abused and nobody likes me and I can't set boundaries and, not loving yourself, because that's where it all comes from in the first place, to this strong, empowered person who doesn't take shit from anybody, but always treats everybody with love. It's and that's one of the things that's really important when you're doing any type of healing work is resetting your energetic signature. The one thing that I could tell you, my journey has had ups and downs. I thought I was healed. Whoops, wasn't. And what I found several times, and what I found was you have to have the body, the mind, and the spirit involved. So your body, that includes your energetic signature, right? So you can do subconscious rewiring, which is like theta healing, and other type of hypnosis and things like that. And that's great. But you also hold trauma in your body and in your energetic signature. So if you don't release it out of there and reset that, you're missing a part. And then the third thing is spirit. Spiritually, you have to cleanse yourself. You have to get connected and really know, who and what you are. And there's a lot of things spiritually that are in your energy that like we hold trauma in there as well. And so clearing those out and setting up, what's around you, setting up spirit around you. When you have all those three things going, healed, set, and creating from a place of love, everything just works.
It just starts to flow. And, as you share, Heidi, I'm just imagining how open you are, your intuition, your energy, and I'm just imagining you. And a lot of the people that I work with, if I were to say who are the people, the type of people who work with me are those people who have such an open energy. And I'm imagining you as a child, and you probably were able to pick up on people's energies then. And even when you were married, imagine picking up so much of depressed energy. What are you going to do with that? So it's almost like when you have all of this energy, which is a superpower. To me, that's a superpower when a person can pick up that much energy. But if you don't know how to manage that superpower, you end up being like the kid who can see ghosts, and there's so many ghosts around. We know that kid's not going to develop. And I can imagine that, that over the years, what I understand is that you've been working on using this apparatus that you've been given, you've been gifted, where you were able to read energy and sharpen it, almost like make it laser-like, so that it can actually heal people and yourself. First, we are always our first clients. So you first healed yourself and you heal other people with your energy.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I want to ask you, Heidi, I also have this whole spiritual psychology thing that I do. And a lot of women, especially, will ask me, because intuition is such a gorgeous thing for women. And they have a hard time telling the difference between what comes to them as fear versus intuition. So do you have a way of teaching them how to tell the difference?
I usually work with, each person one-on-one, because everybody has their different way of feeling it, but I can talk to them about some of the things, like, do you feel things? Do you know things? What do you say? Do you say, see this or feel this? So I try to find out what their modality is. Are they kinesthetic? Are they visual? Are they auditory? And then from there, I explain to them that you're going to get answers that way. So there's some things called muscle testing.
Yeah. Tell me just about yourself. Like, how did you learn the difference between the intuition that you have versus fear? Because they're pretty strong signals, both of them.
So for me, actually, what I was not knowing exactly till I went to the Theta healer when I was in my 30s, and she's taught me the muscle testing, and so I started learning yes and no, and then so for me, I usually feel it in my body or in my energy, because I can feel my energy all around me. So it's more of a contraction type feeling. Things just don't feel right. Like I was saying, I was trying to do too much on the social media thing, and I was like, it was a resistance, and it's like, it doesn't feel good. And a lot of people, well, sometimes it doesn't feel good. You got to work through it anyway. No, not true. When you're a woman, actually, it's supposed to be light. It's supposed to feel good. Yeah, you got to.
Is that how you do muscle testing? You tune in and see if you're contracted or you're expanded?
Expanded, yeah. And if I'm expanded, if it comes from love and ease and light, yes, that's a yes. So, and there's some that you can do, like sometimes I will do like muscle testing actually physically, like yes.
Like, and then, can you describe also, really, because some people don't have the video? Like, what are you doing right now? People who don't have video.
I'm just rubbing my two fingers together. And then that's a no. It's like really tight, I don't know if so that we can see that. And that's like, really, yes. See, yes, no. It gets tight. You can actually.
That's pretty cool. For those of you who can't see Heidi, she's rubbing her index finger and her thumb together, and she's just rubbing it back and forth. And when she says yes, try it yourself. Like I just did it when she was doing it. Yes is a lot smoother. And then no just kind of is a little sticky for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, and you can do it with like backwards and forwards. So as I said, if it's a kinesthetic, sometimes people will actually,
what is this backward and forward thing?
If you're sitting there and you say, yes, give me a yes, then you'll feel your body starting to go forward. It's best when you stand, and then no, give me a no, and you'll feel your body going back. This is all communication with yourself and your highest self.
You basically could just ask this question, oh, should I join this program? And then you can just do that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. And then I always ask for 3 signs from spirit anyways, because, so our ego loves to get in the way. But
yes, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. So look at all of the ways that Heidi tests the intuition. And whenever I ask the spirit for something, I always ask for 2 more things. Please tell it to me in a way that I can understand it. Please tell it, please give me the courage to be able to live into it. Because I used to ask spirit for things and spirit would tell me, but I wouldn't do anything about it because I had no courage.
Yeah. And what's interesting, most people who are highly intuitive, spiritual people, there would probably be most of the people watching this because that's how everything works, right? You'll be getting signs, little things. We all do. We all get little signs from the universe all the time, whether it's a whisper, it's a dream, it's something telling you to do something. So many people I know have said, oh, I kind of felt like I shouldn't have gone there that day. And then there was a car accident or, a shooting happened or, whatever, whatever situation it is. But it's also with life. And when you keep feeling like I shouldn't do this, and you keep doing it and pushing through. And then, like for me, at least, spirit will drop me on my head. This one's going to hurt, Heidi. This one's going to hurt really bad. Oh, and you got to pick yourself up. So they're always talking to you. It's just, do you want to listen and go with the guidance and make life easier on yourself? Or do you want to have them keep listening and, giving a whisper, knocking, banging on the door, finally like, all right, this is going to hurt. We're going to drop you on your head.
So Heidi, tell me, what is the one invisible habit that shrinks a woman's capacity without her noticing it?
Invisible habit.
That shrinks capacity.
Capacity. You know what I got right now, and I don't know if this really aligns with what you're thinking, but when somebody gives a woman a compliment and they have to give a compliment back, or they can't just take it in, receive it, and say, thank you. When you shrink, when you're being complimented by others. That was one I used to do all the time. Oh yeah, you look nice too. I could not receive.
Absolutely.
It's one thing that my clients, I find, well, they're so used to being over-masculated doing.
And I have, Heidi, I have a question for you that I think you can answer, not only because you're a professional, but also because you've gone through some of this, is that what do you understand? What does a regulated relationship actually look like? And how can someone tell that their nervous system is choosing their partner instead of their trauma again? Because there's a big attraction to the trauma bond.
Oh yeah.
So how? Tell us how, because a lot of my people are are concerned about relationships.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I would say is when you meet somebody, you don't get butterflies. You don't get that. Oh God, he's so amazing, and you don't get that. It's not the instant like wow chemistry. It's not all the bells and whistles. It's more of like, you know what? I like this person. It's a calming. It's a protecting, for women at least, a providing thing. For men, they feel seen. They feel like I can be myself around her. And it's just the energy of it. But then obviously there's things like love bombing and all that. Yeah. So letting them take their time.
Yeah. But also for women, like you said, that you're feeling, I really love that you said this, Heidi, because this is such a misunderstanding. And we have so many movies with the butterflies in it. It's really confusing. The butterflies can really be confusing. So, but you're literally saying the opposite. You're literally like flipping it on its head. You're saying, no, it's not about butterflies. It's actually, are you feeling safe in this relationship? Yeah. Are you feeling regular? Can you breathe? Are you... It's almost like that. Like, can I also hear myself when I'm with them, or do they need me to completely shut off and let it be about them?
Yeah. And it's funny because I was telling one of my friends, I've met someone recently who's very calming and sweet. And I said, all my toxic relationship patterns are going, no, don't date him. He's not fun. And I was laughing. I was thinking, look at you coming up over here trying to tell me like, no, he's kind of boring. Like he's not that. And I'm like, no, that's why he's exactly who I need to date. And it's funny because my spirit guides are blowing up my head right now. Like, yeah, and he's taking his time and he's this, very caring. And I'm I've been single for a while because I've been really working on me and my business. So
I love it.
I'm cracking up because I'm thinking, even though I'm healed from all this stuff, these little patterns still love to create.
No, but you see, I'll tell you the healing. I can see it because you're actually like having fun with them. You're
Yeah.
like, seriously? Like, that's just like, you're literally like friends. You're just having a chat with them. Like, seriously? Now you're going to tell me that he's boring? Why? Because you need your nervous system to be high all the time, to be
Yeah.
dropped from the ceiling and then complain about it. So let me ask you this question, because I know that you work with these high powered women. Is it when you hit a new level, financially, relationally, spiritually, what's the pattern your nervous system still tries to run?
Is this going to stick?
There
When's
you
the
go.
shoe going to drop?
Love this. Love this. And what's a moment in your life, Heidi, where you expanded faster than your body could hold? And when that happened, what broke?
It was when I was married and I got into helping people who were losing their homes, because this was during the like right during the recession. I was doing really well because I was dealing with short sales and foreclosed homes. I blew up. I mean, I literally, my phone's ringing. People are wanting to work with me. I had stacks of checks that I hadn't even, my brokers like cash the damn checks already, Heidi. you know, and it was, I mean, it was just so much, and it was so amazing. And then my marriage fell apart.
Yeah.
Right. And in that, somehow I did a little black magic on myself. I said, because he wanted, now that I was a masculine one running, all the money, he wanted to take all my money from my business and fought me in court. So I was like, I will destroy this business. And I stopped working, and I did, because I didn't want anybody to take anything from me and control me. And
Right.
that did a little voodoo on me. And then my business just absolutely tanked, and looking back now, I know that I should have just trusted that, everything's happening for a reason, and continued to work and do the things I needed to do, and let him get whatever the courts told him to. I had so much anxiety because he was trying to take things from me. And
This is such an important story, Heidi, for people who are going through the divorce process, because the lawyers, the whole machinery of divorce can really disorient you. I know a person who spent $3 million together on a divorce, and they have 2 children. This could have been something that could have benefited, because the same pot that you're bleeding from. And I really love that you say that. And this is what you were speaking about earlier as well, that you want to be somebody who is operating from an allowing and a receiving, not from the push and pull. And I really love what you're sharing here, because so many people need to hear it. So many people are in that situation. So when you did realize, Heidi, your body had been telling the truth long before your mind was listening, what do you have some type of an example for that, where your body had been telling the truth way before your mind realized that it should be listening now?
That it should be listening now.
Yeah. That it came from the body first.
I would say I started having massive digestion issues.
Wow.
And I was not, and I was like, and this is interesting, because this happened to me in a couple of relationships. Happened when I left home when I was a kid, when I was in my foster home and I felt trapped, when I finally got emancipated. Happened to me when I left my husband, and happened to me when I left my last narcissistic relationship back in 2019. And it was like, I just had all these gastrointestinal issues. I was gaining all this weight. And it was, I just was miserable.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand. It didn't matter what diet I went on, keto, whatever, it didn't matter. When I finally became emancipated, when I was younger, when I finally left my ex-husband and filed and said, we're getting a divorce, filed for divorce. And when I kicked the narcissist out and said, get out, we're done. Within 30 days max, my stomach went down. I lost a ton of weight. I looked like I had been like a workout queen.
Amazing.
Energetic. It was all amazing. Energetic pushing, energetic, trying to save myself. It was it was like a protection bubble. That is literally my body going,
It's like, your body's like, listen, girl, we're taking over. I don't care when you're ready, because I'm ready, and we're shutting this down. We're
Yeah.
shutting the system
I
down.
mean, it was insane. It was like, I mean, I just went,
So what, Heidi, does safety look like in the body? And what does self-abandonment feel like? I want you to make this contrast for us so we can understand it.
So in self-abandonment, just you're in constant fear. You're constantly second guessing yourself.
And how does it feel in the body when you're doing that? What are some of the symptoms that we can?
There's a lot of there's contraction. I feel like there's neck, lower back issues, because that's where we have our safety and security is in our lower back. Usually like diaphragm type issues, which is your power center, because you're giving away your power. It feels very, I'd say, with self-abandonment, it feels very contracted.
Heavy, contracted, and weighty.
Yeah, and you feel weak. You feel like something has sucked your soul.
Oh man,
because you're giving away your power.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it doesn't feel. It just feels like complete contraction is the word I can come
and
up
now
with.
And since you've already gone through that, what does that moment feel like when you have come into safety?
When you've come into safety
in your body? Yes.
Yeah, you feel alive, you feel light.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest things is feeling light.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you just feel, I don't know how to explain, you get good sleep. You just feel like there's nothing can penetrate your space.
It's beautiful. You feel empowered, you're saying, protected, empowered, like in trust. That's beautiful. And Heidi, if the women listening only change one thing after this episode, what should that one thing be?
If you want to change one thing, think about where in your life are you not being true to yourself and setting your boundaries? Where are you allowing others to control how you treat yourself? And then take a look at that and say, from here forward, whenever X person, this person, that person does this to me, I am going to set a boundary. I'm going to either tell them no, or sorry, that's not going to work for me, or I'm busy. Whatever your boundary is, start setting those boundaries. But the biggest boundary they have to set is with themselves.
Beautiful.
So that they do it.
That's wonderful. Heidi, I thank you so much for coming here, opening up your big wide heart and just letting us in, sharing everything, all your insight, your wisdom, your loving. Heidi, where can people find you? And is there anything that you would like to promote as people are, they're excited about you? What would you like them to know about you?
Sure. So my website is HeidiLyne.com, HeidiLyne.com. That's easy.
Don't forget the E.
Don't forget the E. Yes, it's not NN or NNE, it's NE. Yeah. So HeidiLyne.com. And then I have a healing and clearing meditation that I normally charge for. If you want to go to HeidiLyne.com, send me an email, say that I saw you on the podcast and I'd like that meditation. I will email it to you for free.
Yay, that's wonderful. We got a freebie gift, guys. That's wonderful. Thank you for your generosity, Heidi. Absolutely. And anything that Heidi thinks of later on will be in the show notes, because, if she wants to add something else and her website and everything, we're going to put that in the show notes as well. Thank you, Heidi, for being here. Thank you for your loving, and I can't wait to have more conversations with you. Goodbye Absolutely. To all of you listeners. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all you guys do to make sure that you follow and listen and give us reviews so people continue to find us. Thank you and goodbye.